The Greek tragedy continues. Hospitals, schools and offices are shut as workers stage their fourth national walkout. Officials are now in talks with the IMF, but what conditions will a bailout bring? And what of the rest of Europe? Well, joining me today to talk about these issues from Athens, we have Vangelis Agapitos, an independent economist in Greece. In London, we have Martina Stevis, the London correspondent for the Greek newspaper Eleftherotypia. And economic analyst Max Keiser is with us from Paris. So a warm welcome to all my guests. Think of what would have happened if we'd entered a state of bankruptcy. If the country had gone down, it wouldn't have hurt the rich. It would have primarily hurt the average Greek and the weak. Martina, is that what most people think?
To be honest, I think the current measures that are being proposed and are being implemented are hurting the average Greek and the working classes. So I'm not quite sure if that stands. The vast majority of the population that is middle class and working class, people who have to put food on the table every evening and have to pay the bills, are the people who are seeing tax hikes. They're going to see the quality of their lives decline over the next few months, and they are in deep insecurity about their future. Again, unfortunately, we are yet to see strong measures that will target the mega haves who have been tax evading for years.
Max, we have a situation here which seems to be going from bad to worse. I mean, stocks are down, the economy is predicted to contract, bond yields are up. Greece just seems to be getting deeper and deeper into trouble.
Yeah, well, the question for the Greek government is why no arrests of Goldman Sachs bankers? You know, in the Netherlands yesterday they talked about banning Goldman Sachs. In the United Kingdom they're talking about banning Goldman Sachs. In the United States, the SEC now is got a case pending for fraud against Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is the one that got Greece to skirt the Maastricht Treaty to join the euro with accounting fraud. These debts were all created under fraudulent inducement, and the Greek people have no responsibility to pay them back whatsoever. And what we're seeing right now is a classic case of financial terrorism. The IMF is holding out a package of monetary relief, which they say, well, we have it here for the Greek people to take, while at the same time, the bankers and the hedge funds are attacking the Greek bond market, forcing the yields up to 8.5%, soon to be 9%.
You talk about the bankers and the investors. What about the actions of the Greek governments, past Greek governments? And Martina was pointing out that there have been a series of bad decisions, there had been mismanagement, there had been misrepresentation about the financial status, and they didn't abide by EU rules.
Well, the people should be demanding for a referendum, like they did in Iceland, to see whether or not they want IMF in their country, or the people should be demanding a new election. The people should seek a regime change in Greece if the Greek government's in bed with Wall Street bankers. That's tyranny.
What about...
If I may interrupt.
Yes, come on in, Martina. What do you say?
I think it's fair to mention, I would be the last person to disagree with you about the detrimental role that Goldman Sachs and other banks have played, both in the Greek case and I'm sure in other cases across the EU and the rest of the world that are yet to be disclosed. However, let's remember that the deal negotiated by Goldman Sachs that you're referring to was 2.1 billion, and that's a very small part of the debt that's now amounting on Greeks' shoulders. So it's not just Goldman Sachs that should be brought to justice. It's also officials, politicians, and business people, and all those who have contributed to this situation that's brought us in this terrible condition to date. And
Vangelis, do you agree that no one has been held to account for the situation that the ordinary Greek people now find themselves in?
That's very true, and there's a lot of frustration among the average Greek who says, look, it's not my fault that we ended up doing this. The truth is we are paying years of mismanagement by many different governments, politicians, public sector employees, you name it.
But my point is that Greek economy has been targeted by the banks on Wall Street, including Goldman Sachs, for 10 years. To say that, well, it was only $2 billion initially, that's the defense of a rapist. And to say that it was only $2 billion is saying, well, they were just a little bit pregnant with massive fraud. That has just escalated over the past 10 years. Goldman Sachs and the Wall Street banks already own now, I believe, the lottery system and the airport fees. They're going to go after other income-producing aspects of the Greek economy. They're going to bust it out. It's arson. They want to burn that Greek economy down. They want to control the income-producing properties, and they're going to move on to the next weakest link in the Eurozone, probably Portugal. The Greek people need to stand up to financial terrorism or lose their freedom and sovereignty. It's as simple as that.
Greece is now in a position where it looks likely that it's going to have to activate this loan, this emergency rescue package mechanism. What about the small print to that? Because the devil's in the detail, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, Julie. It's a stealth takeover of all the income-producing assets of Greece, and they're using this current bond crisis, which is manufactured by Wall Street and the hedge funds. The crisis is manufactured. It's not a natural, organic crisis that's happening from just on its own. It's a controlled assassination of the Greek bond market by financial terrorists. Is the Greek government appeasing terrorism? It's exactly what they're doing. The Greek people need to seek a regime change and get rid of this government because they're in bed with the financial terrorists.
Okay.
Or lay down.
Okay. Max, I guess the question is how much negotiating power George Papandreou is going to have?
Julie, let me explain something to you. 6 months ago, John Paulson sat down with Goldman Sachs bankers in Greece, took a picture of the situation, and started to short Greek bonds. This is the same John Paulson who's now named in the lawsuit, the SEC, against Goldman Sachs for massive market abuse, market manipulation. Don't you get it? They picked Greece as a hit, and they're destroying it because they want to take it down. There's no way out of this. Because they're not going to listen to reason.
So you obviously come at this from a hugely you've got a much bigger economic brain than I have. What do you mean they want to take Greece down?
These are suicide bankers, basically, who are short Greek bonds. They make a ton of money as those bonds collapse, just like they made a ton of money as Lehman Brothers collapsed, as Wall Street collapsed, as the mortgage market in America collapsed. John Paulson made a lot of money. Now John Paulson is short Greek bonds.
Okay.
He's there with Goldman Sachs.
All right, let me bring Vangelis in.
And he's making money on the collapse.
Hi, this is the translator speaking. I'd like to express some apologies to Ms. Martina Stevis as well as Mr. Vangelis Agapitos because I did not include in this video everything they said as they said it in the original interview. However, this video's main topic was Max Keiser's views, and its goal was to be as short as possible in this day and age of information overload.